Perfect. So my name is Payal Singh. I'm the co-founder and CEO of YoGPS Inc. We are a fleet telematics and safety solution provider. In simple terms, what it means is we offer cloud-based fleet tracking solutions to businesses. A little bit of our background. So YoGPS, the product was launched last year in May 2022. And last year, just to get some market validation, we launched it online, introduced it to consumers, made $100,000 in revenue. Year-to-date revenue, today we are exceeding $300,000. That's a growth of 300%. And there is a component of fixed fee for the device, the tracking device, and a monthly plan. So our monthly recurring revenue at this point is $18,000. We've also soft launched in US. We don't spend a lot of ad money just to test the market in US Q1 of this year and have been well received. A little bit on my background. So one of my notable achievements, I would say, would be leading a startup expansion in Dubai. So a Singaporean company wanted to expand into Dubai. All they had was a trade license and an office space. So right from recruiting the team, building the product up and expanding, within the 3 years of our startup, we achieved $10 million in revenue and were available across the Middle East and African region. I worked for TELUS for almost a decade, and I led their product development team, the B2B product development team, more so the IoT space. And I was chosen peak performer nationally for product development and a high potential future leader in my spare, well, not spare time, but I love spending time with my daughter and my son, who I think is a little bit crazy, but still cute. In terms of my co-founder, his name is James Joseph. He's our CTO. He's responsible for the technology. He has over 15 years experience developing GPS tracking and IoT solutions, very strong relationships with manufacturers, very strong relationships in the space as a consultant as well, and pioneers in many aspects in this industry. He, in India, he owned a GPS tracking company, one-man show, and still had customers such as Provincial Police, Unilever, and some mining companies, which was then eventually shut down when he moved here 6 years ago in Canada, and then we started YoGPS. He's a second-time founder, and even in his spare time, loves to innovate. In terms of the elevator pitch, YoGPS is set to be the #1 GPS tracking solution for small businesses and consumers in North America. As car theft rates surge and business costs soar post-COVID, YoGPS steps in and empowers our customers to safeguard their vehicles and assets while also helping improve productivity and boost revenue. In terms of global market size, the GPS tracker market is growing and expected to grow to $6 billion by 2030. It's currently at $2 billion with a CAGR of 12.3%. And the personal tracker market is also growing, currently at $1 billion, growing 40%. Car thefts in North America, which is a primary problem that we're trying to solve, is currently at 1 million vehicles stolen, unfortunately also growing. So like I said, the primary problem that's there in the market that we all have read in the news, in Canada, a car is stolen every 6 minutes. And in US, it's every 40 seconds. It's a big problem and just expanding. It impacts businesses a lot. Over $1 billion in insurance claims in 2022 was released. Over $400 million worth of equipment theft happened in North America. And then there were other challenges also that the solution resolves, which deals with higher fuel costs due to inefficient route planning or delays in delivery, idling, job abandonment. The existing solutions that are out there in the market, they're very, very comprehensive, but at the same time, too complex. They're meant for large enterprises. Or at the other end of the spectrum, they're very basic, unreliable, meant for some nuanced use case for consumers. Small businesses in particular, we need a solution that is advanced, yet simple to use, affordable, reliable, and supports multiple use cases, which is what we can do. So in terms of YoGPS, it's one platform. We support multiple devices. We are vertical agnostic. We've got customers from salt farms to plumbing companies to food manufacturers and so on and so forth. So We help businesses reduce their cost, reduce wastage, theft. We help them increase their revenue by ensuring timely deliveries, more productivity, reduced idling. And we are able to offer multiple types of GPS trackers to them. So for example, a use case would be a farming company have equipments on the farm, but they also have trucks. So they would like to use a hardwired tracker, which is what you see on the screen, for their trucks. That is integrated to the ignition and the power source of the truck. But at the same time, have an asset tracker like a magnetic tracker onto their equipments, because those are expensive equipments that they would like to track. And those equipments have no power source, so they need a rechargeable battery. So being able to cater to all their needs and still use the same platform was very powerful to them, which is why they chose us. Just a high level of what we offer. So like I said, we're a cloud-based vehicle tracking solution. We have real-time updates with global coverage. We provide historical route feed playback, which means where did your vehicle or asset go for an X amount of time? There's unlimited history. We do provide reports. It's very important for businesses to know how many stops or trips were made. Drivers leave for deliveries and then sit in Tim Hortons for hours and then blame it on traffic that deliveries weren't done because there was traffic. But now with this solution, the customers actually know that what was the stop period, how many trips, and these are exportable reports for them. Theft protection for sure. We have moving alerts, stop alerts, tampering alerts, ignition off alerts. You can also set geofences, just a simple way of saying it's a virtual perimeter on your app. So if there's an entry and exit of the vehicle, those alerts are generated as well. So apart from monitoring instant notification reports, like I said, we support multiple hardware. Actually, in a very large sense, we are hardware agnostic because we're one of the very few players in the world that support over 200 protocols, which makes it very easy to integrate to any kind of GPS tracking device, which then helps businesses and us to address multiple use case scenarios while keeping the same platform. And there is a self-serve module for businesses so they can add users and support different kind of ecosystems as well. It's not just iPhone or Android or web. In terms of our roadmap, we do plan to expand our offering and add fleet management solution, which is what the customer has been asking. So we're listening to the customer feedback. We have the know-how in this industry, and that should be launched for beta Q1 next year. We also intend to eventually get into AI-based video telematics solution, which is slowly where this industry is moving. But we will go staggered. We will not just do all together. It'll be a step-by-step process. We also plan to introduce other integrated sensors like temperatures. Like one of our customers, we did a beta for them where they have frozen. They're the largest frozen food processing company in North America, and they have trucks and food that carry food at a certain temperature. So we have temperature sensor and driver tags for them in beta. So that's something that we can commercialize going forward. Regulatory compliances like ELD and so on and so forth. In terms of competitive analysis, so there are, like I said, there are existing players, but I would like to categorize them. On one hand, we have industry leaders. Then there are vertical focused solution providers. Then there are single device players or resellers, and then there are substitutes. So if we look at the industry leaders, they're typically Samsara and Geotab in North America. They own like approximately over 50 to 60% market share. Very, very comprehensive solution, have a lot of features to offer, but you typically need it's like using Salesforce. And TELUS, we used to use Salesforce, and we had an IT team to manage the Salesforce. So whereas, or accounting, having an Oracle or JD Edwards for accounting versus having a QuickBooks for small business. So YoGPS becomes that QuickBooks, and Samsara Geotab would become like a ERP, high-end ERP system. So very comprehensive, very expensive, meant for large enterprises. Then we have vertical focus players. Examples would be Raven, Farm Backup. They are meant for agriculture. So their main focus is providing agriculture solution. How much water was released? When was the certain kind of truck moved, etc. But they add like a module, a basic module for tracking. Then we have consumer-based solutions such as Tracky, Bouncy, RAM tracking, or single devices such as RAM tracking. And they target consumers mainly because if single device, if a consumer wants to track a truck, let's say with Tracky, they cannot do it. And then we have substitutes. People often get confused that what's the difference between a GPS tracker and an AirTag. So the primary difference is technology. A GPS tracker works with GPS satellites, has no range limitation, whereas an AirTag is a Bluetooth-based technology that works with an iPhone nearby. So it's trying to identify the location based on a proximity to an iPhone, so very ecosystem dependent. And for some reason, if a truck, which happens, go on your rural areas or on highways where there's no iPhone nearby, then the AirTags are blind. So it's very basic, consumer use, great for wallets, people, pets, keys, not meant for industrial business uses. So from the functionality perspective, like I mentioned, that the industry leaders are advanced. They are also complex. They have contracts between 5 to 7 years, and they're expensive, and their contracts range like $5,000 per vehicle. So small businesses, medium businesses don't necessarily, they don't necessarily opt for it because they can't afford it. Vertical based are meant for very niche use cases. So if you have a farm, great. If not, then this may be very basic solution for the other verticals. Single devices, basic functionality, easy to use, but basic functionality and very limited offering, like I mentioned about the truck example before. Whereas on all overall, YoGPS is a GPS satellite-based GPS tracking solution. It is advanced, yet easy to use, low complexity, meant for SMB solutions. We have no contracts, and we support multiple use cases. So using, for example, one of our customers is a golf cart management company. So apparently we didn't know this, but golf carts also get stolen. So they have solar, they've opted for our solar-based tracker, and they track their golf carts. At the same time, they have some container trucks for which they have hardwired trackers from us. So all in the same platform, they love that. Just some customer reviews. I'm not going to drain the slide, but I'll just read one. The first one is, we are a meat processing factory. Due to idling and delayed deliveries, our revenue was impacted as delayed delivery resulted in product losing freshness and client dissatisfaction. With YoGPS, productivity improved, idling reduced, and client satisfaction improved, which impacted positively on our revenue. Some of our customers that I've listed here, I don't know if you can see it. So we have TFI Foods, Fairgreen Salt Farm, Tartar Towing, Ventura Plumbing, Rodent Energy, Hindustan Lever, which is like a counterpart to Unilever in India. And then we have some rental companies, etc. And of course, consumers, because that's how we validated whether the solution will work. That's how we started getting some cash flow before we got ready to target our business customers. Oops. Key milestones. So we were incorporated in 2021. We launched our product in 2022. And by December of 2022, we had a monthly recurring revenue of $10,000 a month. We continued to enhance our e-com portal, our website. And then in 2023, when we had a little bit more cash flow, we also started automating some of our solutions from fulfillment perspective. We enhanced the products a little bit more. I do feel that being chosen for the Sheboot program is an achievement too, so we put it as a milestone. We are actively raising our seed round, and we've raised up to now, we've raised $100,000 through 2 angel investors. And I touched upon launched in US, and we also got a grant from NRC IRAP for sales acceleration. So we've hired now 1 sales rep, and 1 more is going to be hired soon so that we can focus on the small business market. Going forward for next year, our vision is to continue to accelerate our growth. The product per se is very stable. It's just the acceleration of growth that we need. So we want to focus on sale, expand into US more, launch our fleet management, which also acts as a barrier to entry for other players, and continue to automate some of our fulfillment processes.
1 minute, Payal.
In terms of our go-to-market, so I've touched upon our price. So our price is $75 for a device plus $18 a month average on a monthly recurring plan, comprehensive solution meant for small business. We do want to do direct sales through our team and digital marketing through online campaigns and SEO, and then eventually also explore industry partnerships such as auto shops. We were invited by Walmart Canada to look at electronic online stores and some insurance companies. In terms of financial overview, we expect to grow this year. We expect to make $450,000 and then grow that eventually to a total of $33 million over a period of 5 years, with the ratio changing. Currently, 20% of our business comes from B2B, not a deliberate attempt. It just happened. Now we are focusing on them and trying to grow that ratio more. So we expect that to be 70% of our sales. Bottom right quadrant is where you see a monthly recurring revenue, which we expect to grow to $27,000 per month by the end of this year. We also expect our gross margin to grow because it's a cumulative business. So once you have a whole deal, eventually you're just renewing the subscription, and hence the margin starts to grow. In terms of our funding ask, we are raising our seed round for $500,000. Our previous fundings, so yes, as founders, we put in money and it was completely bootstrapped up to a point. So we put $100,000, our angel investors put $100,000, and we got some grants. We would like to use the fund majority for sales and marketing, and so that's $350,000, and then use some for product development, such as fleet management, and then use $50,000 for operations. And we do target to raise another round of Series A by 2026. That's where I'll pause.
Okay, very
good. Thank you for that heads up.
Okay, super. Thanks, Payal, for all that. And I will turn it over to our experts who'd like to kick it off. Raif, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I wrote a bunch of things, so I'm going to go fast and I'll just be direct, so if you don't mind. So in the first few slides, you were reading the slides. I wouldn't do that. Okay. You know, and just overall, there's like too much text and font sizes are too small. Like pitch decks for VCs, if that's the target, they're not corporate decks. Like, you know, this could work really well as like a TELUS or whatever. It's not it doesn't work for pitch decks. Pitch decks, all you're trying to do is like get people excited and tell a very story and make sure, and you want the investors to look at you and not the slides most of the time. So think of them as a background that you stand in front of to help you deliver a story versus text that you're reading that you expect them. Because you want me to look at you and listen to you, or you want me to read the slide with like 500 words on it, right? In a 20-minute pitch, you're trying to get these VC partners really pumped. It's hard to do that if I'm reading slides. I would get rid of the slide transitions where things shift. It's just like it's not useful. So then in the and on this round, I wouldn't call this a seed round. This is a pre-seed round. Like seed rounds are usually 3 million-ish. You have, for a SaaS company, you have 50K or more in revenue. This is a pre-seed round, so I would call it a pre-seed. And then your next round would be a seed whenever you're targeting that.
Right.
So on the business, I didn't understand the differentiation from the vertical focused competitors.
Yeah, so for them, they have basic features like they would not have a bunch of, for example, they would not have multiple trackers as a solution because they're meant for agriculture companies. That is what they do. They would have lesser reporting. So there's some functionality that they would lack just because they're focused on one vertical and that's not their main offering. But if I'm a farmer, won't the farming focused one just have everything I need? Yes, it would. It's just that I'll give you an example. Because they're farming focused, they would not go and look at OBD tracker, for example, because the farming companies don't need the OBD tracker. They need the hardwired. So a farming vertical specific company may not have that. And they don't need to. That's okay, but if I'm a farmer and you're trying to sell to me, yes, I wouldn't care about that you have OBD. So why wouldn't I go with the customer's point of view? Yeah, from the customer's point of view. That's a differentiation that matters, right? Yes, yes. So from customer point of view, absolutely. That if they have a company that is doing all of this, then it's upon them. Then it's a competition for us, whether we get the sale or they get the sale. In farming, when we reach, we get the sale because they like the simplicity of use. So the current farming companies that we have, which are 2 or 3, they kind of have both. They have agricultural solution dedicated for their agriculture uses, and they have fleet tracking from us.
So they go with you. Why? Because your software platform is easier to use?
It's easier to use, and they like the fact that they have these multiple use cases that they can cater to. The farming company is just an add-on module, so limited, like the UI is limited, the functionality is a little bit limited. It has tracking, but it'll have tracking every 5 minutes, for example.
Yeah. So maybe in your pitch, like somehow make that clearer, because like, you went through that competitive matrix. And I was like, oh, but why wouldn't the farmer or the manufacturing one, the customers, like, I guess, like, you want to tell the story from the customer's perspective, is that, hey, the farmer is going to go with us instead of the farm-focused GPC tracker company because of X, Y, Z. Right. And hopefully it's not, the answer is not price.
No.
Right?
Farmers are rich.
Yeah. Well, no, like you don't want price to be your differentiator,
yes,
right?
I understand.
So the margins of the trackers, who's manufacturing these? Like you're manufacturing them, or like you buying them from China, or what's the story?
Yes, it's overseas manufacturer OEM for us, and the margins on the trackers are not great because it's almost sold at 5 or 10% margin. It is the subscription where we make the money, which is at 80% margin.
Right. And you don't impose contracts on that, though. They could cancel after a couple of months.
Yes, our typically the businesses go for an annual annual subscription. So it's not a contract, but they kind of pay the annual subscription fee in advance.
I see. Right.
But they can choose to renew or not. And so far from B2B perspective, they're sticky customers. They don't leave because we also provide good support.
Great. Okay, cool. Awesome. Congrats. Great traction. That's great.
Thank
it's
you.
A great like pre-seed level of company in terms of traction, what you've done. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks. Leah, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, that was great getting some of the answers that I had as well, but I liked your competitive analysis. I wanted to focus a little bit on the definition of your ideal customer profile. You kept saying SMB, and I can tell you, being in the industry a long time, that means very different things to different companies.
Yes.
So I think it would be worth identifying right up front who you see as your ideal customer profile, and you could even use an example of one of your really perfect customers. They have this many employees, they have this many trucks in their fleet, or whatever. They make this much revenue. Depends how you define SMB. Because that's going to be, if that's your sweet spot, then that's going to dictate a whole bunch of things, not just pricing, but how you speak to them and how, what appeals to them from a problem perspective. So, I like that you've narrowed it down a little bit, but I would really make it obvious and clear and say, here's my ideal customer profile. And here's an example of one we have already today and the kinds of pains they have and how we're solving them. So I think that would be really, really helpful, because it all starts with the customer, right?
Right. Like a user persona.
Yeah, like not necessarily even persona. I don't think you need to get that specific, almost a little bit higher than that. Like my ideal customer is a small, medium business. And by that, I mean, someone who has 50 trucks, who is in these kind of industries. In fact, it sounds like you want to sell across industries, so that's important to identify, right? They have these kinds of pains. You did have a slide on the pains, but kind of to Raif's point, there was so much text on the slide, I couldn't catch up. I couldn't read.
To get better at that. This was my reduced version.
Yeah, no, it's I kind of wanted to read some of the pains, but it's like almost too much there. And so you have to kind of find a way to, really make it tangible that this ideal customer profile looks and smells and feels like this. This is the kind of problem they have, and this is why we appeal to them, and why they're going to be our ideal customer profile. And I think to that point, I love the growth that you've had from 100 to 300, year over year. I'd want to know, as an investor, you know, of that 300, how many are in your ideal customer profile? Or are you just taking random stuff that comes in? You know, could you break that down? Could you say, look, you know, we want to pull in these opportunities that are in this ideal customer profile. We happen to get a few other ones, because what I've seen is that, you know, money can quickly get inflated by one big enterprise customer that happened to sneak into your funnel, right? And that may not be repeatable. It may not be the kind of business you want. It may be hard to support. So of that 300, how many customers was that? What's my average selling price for them? Is it repeatable? And because that's the kind of business I want to repeat over time.
So, for example, if just going by the numbers, 20% of that money came from our ideal customer. But I wanted to also, I didn't probably say it, but I put in the slide that the thing is we wanted the cash flow. So we sold
Right.
online, right? So we started consumers because we didn't want to say no to money. And then as the customers started coming in, we knew now we have the money to hire the sales team and pursue the people we want to pursue.
Yeah.
So from an investor perspective, do you think that that would be resulting in a pushback? Or, I mean, that's the truth.
Well, it's very typical. It's very typical that when you're starting, you are getting these other opportunities that come in and you just need the money, right? But I think to show repeatability and to show your growth, you know, how are you going to control that? And especially if you have a bunch of consumers, I mean, they're the highest churn, right? They have no loyalty. They're not repeatable for you, and they're not who you want to target. So you almost have in your growth plan, some of those are just going to fall off, but what is repeatable, you know?
Yeah, understand. Thank you.
I had other quick questions and maybe just kind of to the setup. I do like that you started with a macro problem. You kind of said, look, there's all these insurance claims, and you know, here's sort of the macro problem of what's going on. It wasn't clear to me whether those stats were general or these are stats faced by my ideal customer profile.
Yeah, it's a fair
Right?
point.
Are those insurance
Actually,
Yesterday we
this
learned
is-
in the pitch deck the TAM, and
Yeah.
I didn't have enough time to incorporate that, but fair
Yeah.
point.
Actually, yeah, like, because it started as if it's like a consumer product for car thefts. But
Right.
then by the end, you realize, oh no, it's 80% B2B, and that's where you want to go. So
Yeah.
I would leave that out, because I also will say from a personal point of view, I've had my car stolen twice now. And I
Oh,
can
sorry.
tell you, if your car gets stolen, the last thing you want is for it to be found.
Because you get insurance back.
Yeah, because the car you get back is likely damaged, and it goes on the Carfax, and the residual value drops like a rock. And
Yeah.
most insurance jurisdictions do not cover residual loss.
Right.
So you if your car gets stolen, you pray you don't get it found. So I would purposely not put a GPS tracker in there.
Right. Some
Yeah,
for
so-
consumers, they put it because, like, for example, even my car was about to get stolen, but I had so many trackers, it was a deterrent for them. So they just rummaged the car
Right.
and left. But some of
Yeah.
our customers, Highlanders, right from the driveway, and before it could reach the port, they could see that they got the notification, they saw, they gave the coordinates to the police, and it was intercepted and found.
Right. Yeah, I guess
So
how
those are
quickly
some
they
cases.
find it. Yeah.
I have
Right.
two last
Oh,
points.
sorry.
Yeah, just two quick points, if I could, before we move on. One is, I think your elevator pitch sort of started out strong, but I didn't see any differentiation in there. Like, tell me in a nutshell how you're going to win. What is it that sets you apart? I want to see that in the elevator pitch. I want to see who you're targeting. I want to know what your value is and how you're better. That's basically what I want to see in your elevator pitch. And the last question before I hand off is just, I'm curious where the YO, what it means. Is it like YoGPS?
It's interesting,
like-
yes. So this is the architect database and the brainchild of James, and his house name is YoDeal, like it starts with YO. So we kind of took that and then made it YoGPS. We used to call it YoDeal GPS tracking. Customers could not say it. And they would say, I have your GPS tracking. I don't know the name. So we kind of put the GPS in the name while retaining the YO because it's his brainchild.
Yeah, being a branding person myself, I would, if that's an interesting name and it has a meaning, it might be fun to slip that in there as part of what your value and your meaning and your value is to the market. Like you can relate that to, so people will remember it. They'll remember your name. They'll remember if they know what it means.
Right. Understand. Okay.
Sorry, I know I took a lot of time. That's my.
Thanks, Leah. Feiran, over to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat some similar notes I took. So when it's like too much information on some of the particular slides, I wrote down slide 7, slide 8, and also slide 12 about your financial information. It just probably, when people look at that, I don't know which one I should pay more attention on. So it's kind of need to be cleaned up. And then when you putting on the information on slide number 13, so you kind of mixed it up like the venture fund you're trying to raise with the grant. So personally, from my experience, I feel like these things can be separate because I think a lot of investors see grants are cherry on the top. So it's nice to have, but it's not a very sustainable way to rely on those grants. So if I would suggest is you can think about just for the C round, how much you have already raised or being committed so far, and separate. If you want to keep a list of the grants later on, that's up to you. Or you can just add it into just the talking points beside the raise. We're also working on some other non-dilutive grants options to extend our runway. Because investors don't want to see you run out of the runway. So it's nice to have, but it is nice to have, not must to have. So I would suggest to separate these, especially the slide 13. And I'm assuming you have more slides after slide 13. So I'm just curious how many you have in total, and we can help you maybe to adjust the flow a little bit to help you to finish the key ones that you want to finish for your pitch. And then we can
I'm
maybe
embarrassed to say I have so many more.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
So I put them in the appendices. So I one, and this just shows our density, our customer density of where we are in anonymized data. So I just thought that that'd be interesting. Team members, a little bit on them, showing some screenshots, so 3 more, let's say. And then I also actually put my Stripe data to show authenticity of what I'm saying is true. So direct pull from that in terms of December revenue, you see MRR was 10,000. Now you see MRR is going to 18,000. So this is direct Stripe data that I put. So I had, and then a little bit of global view saying that we don't sell it, but people probably buy and take it to different countries. So there are some in Australia, some in Portugal, some in India. So there's technology is global is what I'm trying to say. So I have like 5, 6 more slides.
Okay. I think 2 things I feel like investor want to see, but Leon and Rafi, like you have more experience, probably can step in as well. So when is after you're talking about your raise ask, like how much you want to raise, and usually they want to understand like how you want to use the funds as what you have the diagram here, and then usually they show us kind of the roadmap that how much runway this gonna give us to, and then what kind of the milestone this can provide us to achieve each of the milestone, and then kind of your vision moving forward to grow the company to next level.
So like a runway slide after this slide?
So I remember you have something about your roadmap earlier.
Yes.
So
the product roadmap, and then this is the forecast. Let me minimize this. And then if you're talking about the product roadmap here.
So this roadmap like can be leveraged by the funding that we're raising this time, and then to help you to tackle all these roadmap you're looking at between 2024 to 2025?
No, it wouldn't. It would achieve, so I can highlight it would achieve around 60% of it, because the business is also making money, which can be used.
Okay.
And what's the top two rows and the bottom row of this? The top two are what you do today, and bottom is
Yeah.
roadmap.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
like I mean, this should probably split into
Be
two
separate.
slides. Yeah. And like on that revenue slide, you can probably get rid of the table and just have the charts, right?
Okay.
Or like, yeah, I was gonna say, like, for the pitch, it should probably be around 10 slides, 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes. Because like for most pitches, you're gonna get
Yeah.
30 minutes. You're gonna do intros and questions. So you're really gonna have 15, 20 minutes to pitch. So you need like 10 slides, but have all these slides as appendix, and maybe it's like a separate version of the deck that's detailed. You pull up if people ask questions. It's in your data room for people to look at, because every VC is going to say, okay, if the first pitch goes well, it's going to be, okay, can you give me your data room, so let me go through your stuff, right? And this is
Right.
the stuff, right? So you want this level of detail. It's just not appropriate for the pitch deck. Pitch deck, you're trying to get the it's kind of similar to like what people say about resumes, right? The
Right.
only goal of the resumes is to get you the interview. So you could say $50 for giving me an interview, and that could be a effective
Right.
resume, right? Right, but like that's the point. So you want like that one pager resume that so similar sort of idea. Pitch deck should be 10 pages, not that text heavy, and just you're trying to get the next meeting. Or maybe sometimes VCs don't have back-to-back, and they're like, hey, do you have a hard stop? If you don't, let's keep going. And then you dig into the detail, and you show that you actually know your stuff. So that would be my
Which is
general.
kind of what we're doing here, because normally we would have two founders pitching, but we only have Payal. So Payal's got all your time, but I would have cut this off after 10 minutes and we wouldn't be able to have this level of detail.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard, right? Like
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, that's great.
Does that apply to when like some of the VCs and angel investors ask me to send the pitch deck? So I'm not presenting, but they want to review before. So even then the slides would be more minimalistic and fewer words, or would that be a different?
I mean, it depends on how, like, so I see few different tactics founders use that are effective. When they're asked to email before a meeting, sometimes founders do like a 2-pager teaser doc, like just a 2-pager written document format, right? Not slides, just 2-pager like Word doc or whatever, or whatever. And it's a teaser, but it's in written form, right? Not slide form. So you can actually tell story, team, and so forth. There's some good templates online. You could do that. Or it could just be that 10 slide version of your deck. And I would guess even your reduced version is probably going to have text just because of your style. So it's probably going to be fine to email and for them to skim through and just get the general idea of what you do, right? Because it's because like the VC is like trying to get to a no as fast as they can. So they want to kind of rule out, hey, are you a gaming company? Are you a, hardware company? So, because like my fund, we don't do hardware, right? So it's a very easy, quick no. I don't waste your time, and vice versa, right? Like so that's what I'm trying to get to very quickly. Or your target markets Africa or something, whatever. Like the different funds have parameters that they're committed to stay within in terms of what they can invest in, or you're too early stage, or you're too late stage, and so forth. So usually when they ask for the deck ahead of time, that's kind of what they're trying to do, to rule out the obvious stuff. So, if they don't have to take the meeting, they won't, and they won't waste your time, and they won't waste their time. So I think in your case, I would either do the 2-pager teaser talk if you want to, or just, I think your 10-page, 11-slide pitch deck version that you kind of clear out, simplify it to, that's probably sufficient to email ahead of time.
Understand. Okay. I had one more question. That's okay.
The other thing I see a lot now, I'll just kind of do my old man thing. Like a lot of cool kids are using Notion nowadays as what they email out as part of, like they put the whole investment memo in in a Notion document with all
Oh,
sorts
really?
of, yeah, like linked research docs, that supporting data for their thesis, you know, traction data and so forth. You know, that one I think may get some tough for some. I mean, you know, if you already use Notion, great. I wouldn't go out of your way to use Notion.
Yikes, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've received some funky ones. Yeah.
Sounds cool. Feiran, did you have any other points you wanted to make?
No, like just one, I wrote it down for the competition slides. I do heard some investor, they're like, we don't really care about competition landscape. Like we want to hear more about how you want to tackle the market and moving forward. So here I feel like it is like a lot of information on the slide 8. I feel like maybe there could be a better way to indicate the information you want to deliver here.
Yeah, I was struggling between just putting like a graph saying capabilities and support of multiple use cases, and then the others saying expensive, not expensive, and then just put dots on the graph of which one is where.
I wonder if it's kind of a point of what is it we offer and how is this differentiated, and what kind of barrier to entry have we created? You know, how unique and exciting an opportunity is this?
Right.
Is there a way to maybe express that without getting into the details of all the competitors?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have very comprehensive information, but we can pick and choose the most excited ones to drag these investors' attention for the 5 minutes presentation.
Right. Okay, understand.
Okay, I'm going to wrap that up there. Thank you, Raif and Leah and Feiran, for your great feedback. Look forward to receiving your forms as well. Payal, thanks for your pitch today. It was terrific.
Thank
One
you. Thank you
down.
all. I really appreciate the feedback.
Okay, take
Well
care.
done. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Great job.
Good to see everyone. Bye.